most other industries talking about how AI is going to affect our business, is it going to take our jobs and all that. The more useless your job is, I guess, or the least trusted you are, the more likely someone's to be like, you know what, AI is going to take your job. One of the issues is that real estate agents love shiny objects. They love to chase things down. They love something new. I think that it is going to change the way that realtors engage with the clients, with the marketplace, how they find data, how they find buyers and sellers. AI is going to be a very, very large part of the real estate industry. And that's why I am like all in on it. The question I get is AI going to take our jobs? Welcome back to another episode of Moving Sucks. I am your host, Seth. I am with Real Broker outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And it is at the time December 10th. And for all of you that don't know about the real estate industry, this is kind of mastermind time. This is when agents, they all sit around and they try to reset. And I mean, it's good. It's one of the things I love about this business is that the fact that they have there's a lot of like personal development energy in the industry. But one of the issues is that real estate agents love shiny objects. They love to chase things down. They love something new. It is a bonanza for vendors and third party. We are the most solicited organism on the planet. And we are very much like most other industries talking about how AI is going to affect our business. Is it going to take our jobs and all that? So I've been having multiple conversations, seeing lots of advertisements for, AI courses, AI, masterminds, that type of thing. And, I'm pretty proud. I've been working for the last 7, 8 months as the team leader to get as optimized on AI and as far down the road as the real estate industry will kind of allow. We do have some barriers and some guardrails because we have licensure, we have confidentiality. We always have to disclose and that kind of stuff. There are industries though, especially like the world of finance, accounting, math, coding, software engineering, that type of thing that has a ton more AI. Integrated AI was not, this is old news for those industries. They've been doing this stuff for years. So, but the big thing that I get, big question I get is AI going to take our jobs? So, I don't think so. I think that AI is a great tool. If you asked me 6 months ago, I was probably more worried about AI. But we get a lot of people who say, your job, the more useless your job is, I guess, or the least trusted you are, the more likely someone's to be like, you know what, AI is going to take your job. Now, I think AI is going to completely revolutionize the real estate industry. Don't get me wrong. I think that it is going to change the way that realtors engage with the clients, with the marketplace, how they find data, how they find buyers and sellers, how the experience with the buyers and the buyers and sellers are, how we find their respective buyers and clients or sellers. So I'm thinking that AI is going to be a very, very large part of the real estate industry. And that's why I am like all in on it. However, the idea of AI bot or AI agent taking the place of a real estate agent during the process. Now, I'm not denying that an AI agent can do the sale and like get a consumer to like sign a buyer agency contract, get at, schedule an appointment. That's definitely, that's already here and that's coming to a network or a market near you. But the idea of somebody getting a house via AI, meaning like, first of all, to show a property, you need an AI bot like lurching through the property. The agent would just not go at all. And AI would take care of all of it. It would onboard the client, give them the code, get their social security number, their background check, and then issue a code to go into homes. I don't think sellers are going to go for that. Honestly, I have a lot of sellers who are like, I want to make sure that like agents are with these consumers. That's what open houses are for. Like, if you open, but even an open house is supervised by an agent. But we got into an interesting conversation the other day because we were talking about like it's going to take care of sales, but not all sales and complex sales. And I think a lot of people out there think that a real estate sale is simpler than it actually is. And the real estate sales process isn't really a sale at all. It's more like project management. That's how I kind of explain it to my clients, where like we take you from here to there. It's not like, hey, sign up for this and we're going to send this to you and for 4 monthly payments and you swipe your credit card and it's done. Like that's a sale. A sale, the reason they call it real estate sales is because throughout the entire process and throughout the project, which I like to call it that because it is really a project, uh, there are micro sales that take place. There's explaining. There's should you use this lender or should you ask for this repair or when's a good settlement date? Like figuring out like the logistics and all that. But like we don't really sell real estate. It's too expensive. It's too big. It's too slow. So what we do is we facilitate this process and this project management for the client. So like AI, I think is definitely going to, like I said, be involved in a lot of the processes. A lot of time, I could see myself in a year having a bot that would like answer my phone, answer like, and be able to, do a library of answers for my clients because I get a lot of the same questions. And but like I think there's a lot of doomers out there who think I think that overestimate AI's capability in the near term. Now, down the road, if we're all like, playing a harp and painting in a meadow and no one has jobs, like that's a totally different thing. If we get there, there's gonna be a lot of turmoil and everything because it's gonna upend the entire labor structure that humanity has ever created. So like that is like a far, far down the road proposition. There are some industries that I think are really going to get are really going to get crushed by AI. I think it's going to be like the creative stuff. I think the graphic designer, copywriter. I also think that the coders. I mean, I think one of the biggest tragedies that we did was put all these kids into college and say, you know what, like tech is going to be where it's at. Technology revolution. Go get your, go learn how to code and go learn how to do all these, set up all these computer systems and everything like that. And like it's going to be really hard to keep a job in that market. Finance, the same thing. I know someone who graduated like second in his class in college, can't find a job. He hasn't been able to find a job for 3 years, and now he's like just going into something totally different. Another thing that's interesting is that I read a statistic that Harvard MBAs are having a hard time finding a job because they're not willing to pay those people for those like lower rungs to get up through the thing. Or get up through the ranks because AI is like kind of cutting out the need for that employment tranche. So there's going to be a lot of disruption. But in real estate, I just think that it'll be another tool that we can all use. But there is a certain level of trust that has to occur with for technology to be adopted. So like I think if you took a time machine back into, and I always use this as an example, if you took a time machine back 100 years, so you go see, Bob, in 1925, and you say, hey, Bob, here, so I'm from 2025. Here's the deal. So we, that airplane that the Wright brothers did, Kitty Hawk in North Carolina, and the military basically only uses. Well, we've perfected that, and we've commercialized it, and we put anywhere from 275 to 300 people in a metal tube, 40,000 feet in the air, going 700 miles an hour. And there'll be 100,000 of these flights that take place every day off the planet. And it will be by far, not even close, the safest way to convey humans across this planet. You have a higher likelihood of tripping and falling, getting your mail in your driveway and killing and dying than you do on a commercial air flight. And so I use that always as an example, is like, because if someone in 1925 who barely had ever seen an airplane, probably heard them, if they lived near an air base or something like that, maybe they had seen it back then. I don't really know when airplanes like really became even militarized. I know during World War II, that's why we have commercial air flights, because we did so much flying in World War II that, we perfected it and then commercialized it. But It comes down to trust. It comes down to trust in technology. And I don't think that the real estate consumer is going to sit there and say, you know what, like Seth's like a great agent, but like I think we can just do this all with AI. Like that is not a thing. Like there are a ton, I mean, there are going to be people out there who try to do it and they can go for it. But there is going to be, I would say, over 90% of consumers, because 96% of consumers use agents, over 90% of consumers are not going to run to a bot and hope that the thing is right and gives them advice on contracts and the feel of like the other agent, like, because that bot's going to have to call the agent and like glean information and understand the like what's going on with the seller and understand that like emotional like bucket. I just don't think I think someone's gonna there's I think we're social creatures. We're still gonna need someone to talk to. And I'm really trying not to be like Brian Gumbel and Katie Couric in 1993 being like, is internet spelled with a capital I? Like, but I just don't see the American consumer, especially when this gets harder, if we get into like a harder market where someone's really got to sell quick or someone's like really scraping together money to get a house, like they're not gonna take a chance on a bot. The final thing that I will say, and this is something that's not really talked about in the media because everyone's so hell bent on saying that the uh that AI is gonna like is the best thing ever, is inputs. And people don't realize where AI actually comes from. AI comes from human inputs. And yes, it can learn, but in such an anti-truth environment where people's opinions are now reign as truth. It's very hard to get. I love this line. The a lie can travel around the world before the truth gets to put its shoes on. And the inputs, they're finding that some of the inputs, like especially in the legal and the mathematical, and even in the coding aspect of things, they're finding that the outputs aren't accurate. And so if they, I was talking to a guy, he's in insurance, and he's like, we're dabbling with it. He's like, but it's not tight. He's like, it's not something that we can just let Rick go and just rely on this bot. Same thing with lawyers. Lawyers are like, it's good, but like sometimes it makes up cases. It gives us bad information. Then we got to go in and like make sure and verify. And he's like, and by the time we're done, we might as well just done it the right way in the first place. So the inputs for AI are going to be very important in the next 2 to 3 years, because everyone's saying in the next 5, everything's going to be different and everything like that. But if people don't trust it, it won't matter. It'll be another tool that people will use for sure. Yes, I do think graphic design, I think copywriting, I think marketing, like copywriting, maybe not like medical and like technical writing, but like copywriting, marketing writing. I think a lot of that's going to go to AI, because a lot of that can just be kind of, you know, flowy. It doesn't have to be technically correct. It's a marketing thing. It's not a like a technical sales thing or technical like a technical manual. So I do believe that it's going to be very important that the people who are stewards over these programs pay very close attention to the inputs, because what the internet, what GPT and Gemini and Claude and they scour the internet. And if you've been on this planet for 30 some odd years, you know that the internet went from like lot great information, and now it's just like a vomit of opinion, conspiracies, truth, facts, references, but it's not like tight. It's not like it's not like a library or a dictionary or encyclopedia. So in the end, I think that AI is going to have a real big headwind on its in terms of that industry, because I think there's just enough amount of idiots out there to ruin it. Not to ruin it so it's not even irrelevant, but I think it will make it where it's more of like a 10-year proposition than a 2. If everybody was into truth, everybody was putting the right things into the stuff, I agree it would be adopted quickly. Capitalism would reign. We would lay everything. Like, you know what? We don't need Rick, because this thing is like 99.9% effective. We'll take on the risk for the 0.1% and see you, Rick. Like, happy trails. That's not happening in a lot of companies. The other thing is too, is that a lot of the people who need to adopt this technology and run these companies and have to disperse this money for it are boomers and Xers, and they are not as tech savvy as millennials and Gen Y and Gen Zers. So when millennials and Gen Z will become more of the bulk of the management at the higher ends of these companies, that is also when it'll be adopted the same way that internet did. Like, the silent generation and then the boomers, like they were really reluctant. And then finally the Xers kind of took everyone and like shoved them through the door. For the internet, that'll be the same thing, but we're years from that. Millennials are only about 45 years old and they are just starting to reach the C-suite of all these companies. So I love talking about this stuff, and anyone out there, even if you're a realtor or you want to chat about AI, my team, we use a ton of it, but it's more for like back end administrative things and for the marketing stuff. But the technical stuff, our agents, we're all still doing it because there really is no solution for it, and I just don't trust it. It's too important. These transactions are way too important to entrust a bot, and I don't want to be the beta test. I don't want to be the test case. I'd rather have someone in Illinois, go to town and teach it all the things it needs to do, and then show me how it does work 99.9% of the time. So just want to get on here. If you are in an industry, though, that has some vulnerability to AI, I think the best advice is if you don't get out of that industry, is just become absolutely indispensable to your employer. And that's not anything revolutionary. That is something that they said during the Industrial Revolution and the information revolution and the tech, revolution. And if anything, learn how to use these tools, because these managers aren't probably going to be as well equipped to adopt this stuff and really understand it. So if you become an expert in AI and bring value to your employer, that will be a skill set that will insulate you in the case that someone else does. So anyway, I hope you guys found this helpful. For now, if you need to do any real estate services, advice, resources, anything, please, you guys can reach out to me or reach out to Jen. And we're in Philly, but we have a network across the entire country. So if you're listening to this, you want to get the process started, you just have some questions or whatever, I am more than happy to make that connection. Or you can call me directly, or you can find me on Instagram at AskSethAnything or at the Moving Sucks podcast. Thanks, guys. See you.